It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and it seems like a great time to head down to our local comic book shop. So slip on your comfortable shoes, grab your favorite sweater, and you might want your wallet as well.
And here we are. It's Eides Entertainment. 52 years old and going strong. That's Eides Entertainment, your home for culture, comics, toys, video, and music. But don't take my word for it. Let's go inside. Well, will you look who it is? It's good old Ken.
Hello.
What's that? It's a little warm. Know what I'm saying? Welcome. Here we are in the studio. It's great to be back. As much as I enjoy going to my local comic book shop or, any comic book shop, wonderful to come back to the studio, make a nice beverage, and check out all the stuff that we found. Now, I made it a point to grab something from every floor just to emphasize the sheer variety that's available to you, the consumer. Right off the bat, this is the Warner Brothers Archive edition of Waterhole number 3, starring James Coburn. Now, as a young man, Coburn was my favorite actor. Indeed, he still is to this day. I was captivated by his performance, and in Like Flint, we watched one pizza night, hanging out around the TV back in 1980. And I pointed to the screen. I said, "Mom, I want to be just like that guy." Sorry, Mom, I don't know what to say. Role models are strange things. But this is a great little flick, not only starring Coburn, but a All in the Family Carol O'Connor. That's right, meathead. Here they are mixing it up out in the desert. I don't know what it was about the desert and Coburn. He always seemed to be out there. But wonderful little film. Glad to have it in the collection. Gonna move the big G. Sorry, fella. But I gotta show these folks this copy of the Spectacular Spider-Man. It's the Marvel Special Edition, don't you know? Now you might be thinking, what's so special about it? Well, this was the first of Marvel's tabloid comics, and it was the first one I saw, and I was captivated. Now, as a 5-year-old consumer, I wasn't really in a position to go and buy such a thing for myself, but the older boy down the street had it. And, I'd go and I would visit his younger brother, check it out, see what was going on. But sooner or later, I'd end up upstairs, pestering him, saying, "Can I see that big Spider-Man comic of yours?" And who could blame me? I mean, look at all you get. This reprints the Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1, The Sinister Six. And that one was by, of course, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. And these full-size panels really jump out at you in tabloid edition style. Now, some of you might be thinking, Mink, you're mangling that comic holding it that way. Well, this is a reader copy, and, I don't mind showing it to you, the viewer. It's a viewer copy as well. Not only do we get the Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1, but we also get the first appearance of... Wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, wait a little longer for it. Oh, what the hell? There it is. Face to face with the lizard. Would you like a hamburger, Mr. Lizard? And then there's a Molten Man story in there as well. Pretty good. And, the icing on the cake would have to be this picture of the gang hanging out. Very, very nice, although thinking that ain't Petey's pad. Probably a little too deluxe to be Aunt May's. I think they went over to Anna Watson's to have this portrait taken. But, wise choice. And then from the music department, I picked up this. It's the Elastic Four. Now, that might sound like a superhero team from the Bronze Age, but it is, in fact, the 1942 international champion barbershop quartet group. And this is a wonderful album, from its beautiful glossy cover to its shockingly informative interior. Wow, that is perhaps way more about this band that even I wanted to know, and I bought the album. And as far as the discs themselves, well, you want to talk 180 gram. These things, well, they'll break your foot if you drop one on them. It's the Elastic Four, and it's from SPEBSQSA Records. Ask for it by name, if you can. And then, talking about music, we have this book of Beatles gear. It is all the Fab Four's instruments from stage to studio. Now, I'm a big Beatle nut. I've talked about my love of the band in the past, and while I can't really show you the book without, mangling it too much, This book basically takes you from the beginnings all the way up to the end of the band's career, talking about all the different instruments and amplification that was used. And if you think it's a real deep dive, well, it is. I've read all the other books. And then we're talking about old guys who like old comics. We might as well talk about some old comic books. This one is real old, in fact. Yeah, this is issue number 5 of Archie's Pals and Gals. Would I like a mint edition copy? Of course I would, but I don't really have the coin for that. And the fact is, this survived all of those years somewhere. I think it was in a garage. And has that sort of emission-y edge, It looks like it may have been picking up some, diesel fumes over the years. But nonetheless, it is quite a striking edition. There isn't a single ad in this book. It's all stories, baby. These things are absolute winners. And once again, if condition is a deal breaker, well, that's fine. You just leave these behind for Daddy. And then here's a slightly later era, Betty and Veronica. This is a 12th century, but nonetheless, still pretty good. Here the gals are hanging out, and is that any way to treat a record? I say nay. And then here's another one of those oldies, but goldies. Is it a little bit moldy? Well, it's earthy, hints of raspberry, tobacco, and Sam Schwartz. It's Jughead Annual, and it's the 5th edition. And apparently the Rat enjoyed it to a point. Maybe there was a little Jinx story in there and it stopped. Has good taste. Next up, are you ready to spend life with Archie? Because if you watch this channel, you've pretty much consigned yourself to that fate. I do focus a lot on these books. But hey, they're just so much fun. This is the Archies. This is an early appearance of the band. This is before Betty and Veronica were singing with them. They were still holding the tablecloths down. And these were shameless rip-offs of the Monkees TV show. I mean, I guess there's really no shame in that. They were ripping off the Beatles, weren't they? We're going to finish things out with, talking about a rip-off. It's one thing for, one band to rip off another. It's another thing for a company to rip off its own characters. These are Wilbur. This is 68 and 69, and if you didn't have very good eyesight, well, you could, very well be forgiven for thinking that they're pretty much the same comic. I mean, tell me that isn't Veronica, and very, very much like a Betty simulacrum. And, just a difference of a couple shades of red there, Wilbur. What are you going to do? Okay, well, thank you for joining us for this trip to Eides Entertainment. We really appreciate the management having us in the shop, taking a look around, showing you guys all the wonderful things that are available. If you happen to be in the neighborhood, stop on down. And if you're there on the weekend, well, come to the basement and say hi. Chances are I'll be there to help you out.